My psychology is rock solid. It's my ability or inability to follow rules in a systematic strategy that is holding me back. I break my rules all the time. What do you say to that?
You were expecting the market to do what you wanted to do, when you wanted to do that, to fit your style of trading in the time that you want to trade within the 3 trades you're going to take. That is ridiculous.
You're right.
We have to get out of our head and do this. Trading is not indicators. Trading is not charts. Trading is nothing but human emotion on a graph, on green and red candles. That's all it is. He said, I don't want a dime. I will give you about a month or so of my time to put you on the right path, and I'm done. That's what he wanted to do. I still don't know who the guy is. You against you. The market is the mediator, and it doesn't care who wins. You win or you win, it does not care.
What up, boys? Today, I've got Robert Cooney in the house for a very special episode. Robert is extremely smart, extremely passionate about trading, and he's a fantastic trading coach. We wanted to talk a lot about Topstep. Unfortunately, we got sidetracked with his trading, his experience, his tips for not just psychology, but just for becoming a professional trader. So I think everyone is going to like this. Doesn't matter if you trade futures or not. Doesn't matter if you're with Topstep or not. You're going to love what Robert has to say. His coaching really shines through in this episode. And look, I did my best to shut up and let him talk. And I think I did a pretty good job at that. So thank you to Robert. Thank you to our sponsors. And now enjoy today's episode. Hey traders, I just want to give a shout out to today's sponsor. Topstep is a US-based futures funding firm. It's actually one of the oldest funding firms in the entire industry, not just in the US, in the entire world. If you're looking to get funded and trade futures, which is something I recommend you do, I recommend it strongly. Use the link down in the description. Topstep and I are going to do a lot of work together over the next few months, and I want to get you integrated into their ecosystem. Their challenges are cheap. The rules make sense. They're easy to pass, and you can get paid out in your XFA account, even though you're still trading in a simulated environment. If you don't know anything about Topstep, again, just use that link, go read all their FAQs, do a bunch of research, but everyone that we have sent from the CFD world over to the futures world, we've pushed them to Topstep and nobody is complaining. So if you're not already in a futures challenge, or maybe you're ready to diversify and trade with a different firm, use my link down in the description. That supports me and the channel, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for being a listener. Thank you to Topstep, and let's get back to the video. Traders, welcome back to the show. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, a TopstepTV brother, Mr. Robert Cooney is here. Robert, it's good to have you on the show.
Austin, thanks for having me. It's nice to be on the other side of these for once.
Absolutely. I know you are a worker bee behind the scenes to make TopstepTV happen, to make all the production happen behind the scenes. And I think, like I said to you before we started, Robert, I really do think a lot of my audience has heard your name or has seen you on TopstepTV. And I'm super excited to just get some of your story, your trading experience out there for them, because I think that will make not only them like you more and seen more as like a relatable guy, like he's gone through the same stuff that I've kind of gone through maybe on my journey, but also just because people like to hear some of the behind the scenes that's going on at Topstep. So we'll see what we can pull out of you today. But I'm very appreciative of you being here and all of the guests that I've had from Topstep. The audience is loving the future stuff, man. And Topstep is a great company. So this is going to be fun. Now, first question. I know you told me you're from Boston, you're from Massachusetts. Why have you not migrated to warmer weather? That's the first thing I need to know. As a trader, how are you handling the cold gray weather 12 months of the year?
Boy, that is a great question. You can tell we haven't discussed this before because you'd already know the answer. So disclosure, I turned 55 in April. I look pretty young.
You look good for 55, bro.
Thank you. I spent my first 40 years in Massachusetts, and in 2009, I actually moved to North Carolina.
Okay.
So I was in the Raleigh-Durham area. Yeah,
I was going to say, you made it halfway, you know?
Ironically, I moved to Florida for a short time, hated it, moved halfway back.
Too hot? Too humid?
Too hot, too humid. And being in Massachusetts, and I had an IT company at the time, and when I got to Florida, the Orlando area, it's a vacation retirement area, and being, turning 40 around that time frame and just being in a ball of energy, people were telling me, they're like, dude, you have got to slow down. And I was moving half speed as it was. So it just wasn't quite right. So I ended up moving halfway back to North Carolina. And about 2 years ago, today is June 5th, 2024. So about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years, I actually moved back. One of my parents was having a little bit of a health thing. So I came back to help out. Ended up staying a little bit longer. So I am currently back in Massachusetts. I'm in Worcester, about 40 minutes west of Boston. So we'll see where the road leads from here.
I love it. I love it. And I'm the same way. Family first. You got to move. You got to do what you got to do to take care of the fam. Why have you not convinced the Top Step guys to go East Coast then? Because that West Coast time zone, that hour difference, and they're going to tell us, oh, Austin and Robert, you East Coast guys, futures is built in Chicago. It's got to be Central Time, right?
Yeah, well, it's Central Time because that's where, Top Step headquarters is Central Time in Chicago, right? In
Yeah.
the CBOT, the Chicago Board of Trade building.
Yeah.
I've been there a couple times. It's a beautiful area. I forgot the name of the number. It's like floor 55 or something, way up there. You can see on TopstepTV the view out the window there. So that's where the headquarters are. And remember, TopStep's been around for like 14 years now when it started. And when that COVID transition happened, prior to me, I was been with TopStep. February was 2 years for me,
Nice.
and pre-COVID, everybody's working. The main group was in Chicago, in and around that area. But then COVID happened, and everybody could work from home because we're electronics and we have computers and screens, and trading is all electronic now. There's no trading floor anymore. And when COVID started backing down and things started loosening up a little bit, the company just said, "Hey, we have to go back." So that section was gone, and there's the office that's there, and a few of the guys work out of that office for sure. But then after that, we're just scattered around. So yeah, there's more coming up in the East Coast and internationally as well. So I can't say too much about it,
That's
but it's
exciting. All right.
definitely
Expand.
nationwide and looking global. Yeah.
That's cool. I love it. And it's interesting because there are traders that you guys have on TopStep TV, even from all over the country and all over the world. I know we could give Nick a shout out. Nick was on my podcast recently. Nick is in Texas. You have Isaac, one of the guys on the leaderboard. He's now down near me in Sarasota. So there's guys all over, which is really cool because what I've kind of seen with the traders I've worked with is everybody, depending on where they are, finds a different groove. Like the West Coast guys normally don't wake up and trade pre-market because it's so early. I find that they like to trade at the open or power hour. So the fact that Top Step TV now runs throughout the day is super awesome for them to tune in and be able to see what you guys are doing. When did Top Step TV start?
It started, I want to say last August or so, August leading up to
Relatively new.
2023. It is because, they want to give a shout out to Rips too. He's the California guy, and
Yes,
then
yes,
Dakota, he's in
yes,
Utah, and who's,
yes.
that's the man of the hour right there. So
Yeah,
shout out to
seriously.
those guys if they're watching.
Yeah.
So Top Step, little history here, was a two-step program for a lot of years. Top Step started this entire industry. So what it was before, and this is pre-July 2023.
Okay.
There were two steps. You had some rules that you had to follow, several, just drawdowns and profit targets, and don't do this, don't do that. Trade through news and things, right? And then once you pass step one, you move to step two, and it wasn't. You didn't have to be in there necessarily a long time, but the rules were a little bit tighter. They dropped the contract size down. You can't just throw 15 on there anymore. You can start with 2, build up 3, like a real trading account. That was all pre-July. But then July 2023, about a year before that, 2 years before that, a lot of these, the low cost, the discount prop firms started showing up and saying, well, wait a minute, we think we can do a little bit better. And they did. So you have to look at not just what you're doing well, but what you can do better also. So the decision was in July 2023, is to cut over to the thing called a one-step one rule. So when you're in the Top Step combine, there's only one way to lose that combine, and that's to hit your max loss limit. And all firms have their rules and restrictions. So if you take a 50K combine, for example, the maximum loss is 2,000. But once you hit 1,000 in a day, you just can't trade the rest of the day. And if you hit 1,000 the next day, you're out. But that's the only rule that will make you lose your combine and you have to do the reset on it. The only one. That's where the one rule comes from. And then the one step, we hear traders sometimes will say, well, it's the combine, and then it's the express funded account, or XFA. And then you go to the live account. So they kind of thinking that's 3, but it's not. Once you pass your combine, you move to the express funded account, you can take funding, you can take payouts. So the one step is, there's only one rule, is that you can only lose by hitting that maximum loss limit. And the one step is, as soon as you pass that combine, which you can do in 3 days, is you can start taking payouts. So, and then they monitor it from there. There's a bunch of risk managers on the team, and they see, okay, well, did this person get lucky, or are they being consistent? And that's what they look for. Once you become consistent, managing your risk well, you're invited up to live. So, but you can take a payout. So that's where the one step one rule came from, and that was in July. I know it's a long-winded answer to your question here,
No, it's
but
a great history.
and uh, that same month, we were going to launch TopstepTV, but it was so busy and so inundated with all of the stuff and all the changes, it was pushed off and it was held. And it just took a little while to get things back and bring more staffing in, get a little bit more structure to it, break out the teams a little more organization, because it was just a big giant growth as soon as it went to that. And then the pricing dropped from like 165 to $49.
Crazy.
It's nice. It was just a lot of activity going on. So the one step one rule in July, Topstep TV, to answer your question, is August to ish September. We did a lot of trials in there, and it started off a little bit rough, as you would expect. We were like questioning on screen all the time, and things weren't locking in, changing software updates, just like anything else. But we had it really dialed in, and once we had that break around Thanksgiving into December, we had it really dialed in, and at that point, we're like, this is a show, this is a show. It's
Absolutely.
been doing nothing but going up from there, with
Huge.
the view count, and it's not just a view count, it's helping traders. It's free. You're getting the amount of
Dude.
quality and quantity of traders and professionals and everybody that's on the show that is on air giving, I can't use advice, but giving tips and giving suggestions. All of us have been professional traders at one point.
Yep.
So you're just getting the best of the best of the best, in my opinion. And we all have our different strengths and things that we gravitate towards. So it's a great crew. We're ecstatic about it. I'm talking from Robert Cooney as the Topstep performance coach and production assistant and on-air talent. That's coming from me in that realm. Coming from me personally, I think it's a fabulous idea as well. If I had nothing to do with it, what are you going to do all day? You're going to tune into this. It's the first of its kind. We are literally knocking on the door of CNBC right now, being like, hey, we're coming for you.
For real. Well, I mean, what do people
I'm
want?
just fortunate to be with it. Yeah.
Robert, what do traders want more than anything else? Eventually, they don't want strategy. They don't want indicators. They want community. A lot of traders get to a point of figuring it out, quote unquote. They have a path that they want to pursue, but they don't want to do it alone. And I think, and this is why I do well with our mentorship program, is because people want to be held accountable. And one thing you do get, even on Topstep TV, is a little accountability of like, hey, you have something you can show up to every day and consistently be a part of a community. And that fills a gap for traders. So I totally agree. It's a great product. And I'm honestly surprised at how new it is for how fast you guys are growing. Now, one thing before we go back, because I do want to go to your story a little bit more and hear about how you even got into trading.
Sure.
The business must have boomed when they price cut and went to one rule. So were you a part of that growth? Was it crazy? All right, boys. I'm finally excited to share this information. The free futures course that I've been working on the last few months is finally ready for you. There's a link in the description to grab this course. Again, it is totally free. All I ask is that you leave me a review. I can see everybody that takes the free course. If you don't leave me a review, I'm gonna come kicking your door down and asking you for that review. Because in my opinion, and this is what I'm hearing from other people, you're gonna watch this and you're gonna say, why is he giving this information out for free? Well, I'm giving you the strategy that has helped me and other traders in our group get funded and get paid out as futures traders, because I don't believe strategy is the only component to getting paid out. It is an important factor in your overall success, but it is not the only factor. And I think that out of all the factors that lead into successful trading, strategy should be the one that you almost would say is the most simple. So I want to give you a simple strategy that's proven to work not just for me, but for other traders. And then I want to help you push yourself to get funded and get paid out. And that's what we're going to do with this free course. So check it out. There's a link down there. Just make sure if you watch it, you leave me a review, because I'll come asking you for it if you don't. I really appreciate all the feedback, all the attention you guys always give me. I'm just here to help you guys make more money as much as I can. So enjoy the course, and now enjoy the rest of the video.
100% crazy. It was
Crazy.
It was ecstatic growth. When you I'm not going to share any specific numbers, but when you if you go from a business in 10 years and you're building and you're building and building. So this is any business, isn't any business, 10 years, you're building, let's just say 1%, 1%, normal, 1 to 2% a year, grow. And then within 3 months, you do 50x%.
Crazy.
It's just, it's insane. Yeah. So there was a lot there, and we were prepared for it, to be honest. And it just totally took over any numbers that we had planned for. It's one of those things where, hey, I drive to the grocery store every day. It takes me 5 minutes. Oh, it's 5 p.m. It's going to take me 9 minutes. And there was an accident. It's going to take me 12 minutes. But for whatever reason, today it took me 7.5 hours. It was so astronomical, and everybody jumped in, and we were doing literally 18, 20-hour days for, I think, about 2 months straight. and
Wow.
the company just grew and grew. But we had to. I mean,
You had
it
to,
was
right?
you meet the demand, right? You meet the
Yeah.
demand, and whenever you have something huge like that that already has a great following, and it's just great for the traders. You know,
Dude, and
everything that was being done and still being done, it's all for the benefit of the traders.
yeah, I love that. And I think MP spoke about it in my podcast with him, just talking about like how he has to wear the trader hat and then the CEO hat and like building the leadership team and putting good people. Dude, people, listeners, you think trading is hard? Try running a business with 100 employees or 200 employees. It's
Sometimes at the same
extremely hard.
time.
Yes,
Sometimes you get the trader hat on and you're looking in the internal chat and there's the CEO hat at the same time. So he does a super job at it.
he
The guy
does,
is a
dude.
visionary. He came up with this idea and he had a great team behind him and he just keeps going and going. And you'd be absolutely amazed in some of the stuff we got coming up. So
And
stay tuned for that.
I can't wait. And I would love to know more. Maybe we'll break some news here. I'll get Michael to come back and we'll break some news when it's ready. But what's really cool about that is just like being a trader and going through the grind as a trader,
Yeah.
you can respect even more his grind and his entrepreneurial spirit to build a business, not just to be a good trader. Like you said, he really did start something from scratch. And now, I mean, when you tell it like that, of 10 years basically, to then go boom, straight up, way bigger than you thought, that should be really motivating to all the listeners, because your trading career often will look very similar, right, Robert? I mean, I'm sure there's many people you've worked with that struggle, and then have breakthrough.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Austin, because that's the aha moment. This one didn't happen to be an aha moment. Like I have this great idea. It's like, well, we better change this program up a little bit
The
and
right
try to stay
pricing,
in
the
the
right
mix of all the
rules.
exactly all the competition. Let's knock out some of these rules. Let's give the traders what they've been asking for. And you know what? That's the aha moment. And this, if the traders that are listening now, if you are struggling and it's been 6 months, buckle in for another 2 years because it does take time to get used to these things. And I remember my first year, we'll get into that in a minute, but I did nothing but lose for 8 months solid. And I was just like, I was ready to give up. But just me being my nature and my personality, I'm like, I ain't quitting this thing. I'm going to beat it. That's just how it goes.
Let's jump into that if we can, Robert. Not to cut you
Sure.
off, I apologize. What are the inceptions of your trading career look like? How did you get into this? What were you doing before trading? Because you were trading, I assume, before Topstep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So my background is I owned an IT company for 17 years
Okay.
in Massachusetts. I started myself I was 26 years old and I'm like door to door, business to business, one person, let me fix that for you. You're talking 1994 here, so like .com just happened in 91, right? So you're just starting to I just had a nice logical, technical mind, and that's just how I operate. I'm not great with art, but you put some code in front of me, we'll be okay. So then I needed somebody else part-time to help me. And then I needed a person full-time, and then two, then three. And next thing I know, I have this business at a couple locations, a bunch of employees. I'm like, all right, we're doing okay. And did pretty well for myself. And I 2009, like I said, I turned 40 and I wanted out. I needed a career change. And here's the kicker. I actually went to school for sports therapy and I became, technically my license was a massage therapist, but it wasn't the dark room relaxation kind. It was more like a PT.
Yeah.
Right. So, and within a year, I was literally working on Olympic athletes.
Wow.
So yeah, I had Olympic athletes, NFL players coming in, flying to me, professional golf, tennis, literally coming in for the types of treatment. I became nationally certified at a continuing education provider and started traveling the country teaching what I did. So I did that until 2017. Here's where trading comes in.
Okay.
2017 is when Bitcoin went from like $9 to 19,000 in a year, right? Great. Well, I got bit by that bug too because I had a flashback to my IT business and I supported maybe a handful, 5 or 6 day traders. And every time I went to their office, they were getting the fastest computer, the biggest screen, you name it. Right? They would show me pictures of the boat they just bought, the vacation they came back from. They were working 3 hours. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I'm busting my butt trying to get a new business going. So 2017, I phased myself out. I had 3 locations in my sports practice, 8 employees.
Wow.
I phased myself out, sold off pieces of it, and started day trading around February or March of 2017.
And did you sell the IT business already too?
IT business was sold in 2009.
Okay.
And this is now 2017.
Dude,
so
you are an entrepreneur, bro. You're not a tech nerd,
I've been,
Robert. You're not a code little nerd. You're a real deal entrepreneur, bro.
You know what's funny is when Topstep hired me, that's what I told them. They're like, so do you have a resume? I'm like, this is the first job I've had since 1992.
I know.
So no,
there's no resume. I built 2 businesses and sold both of them that had multiple employees in multiple locations. That's the resume.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
Because
So I
anybody that
started
runs a
following.
business knows you probably wore 8 different hats to do both of those, right?
You're absolutely, you have to when
Yeah.
you're starting up like that, and it's a grind, but and to me it's worth it. I like that. Yeah, people say you can freedom, you can just go in and out when you want. Not at the start. Not at the start. You got to take your time and build that up and have people around you. So
It's true.
2017, the Bitcoin is going through the roof, and I started day trading. I didn't trade Bitcoin because I wasn't too sure on the crypto thing at that time, like nobody really was. Um, so I started looking at these low cap, low float stocks, three to $10 stocks. $3 because you had to, if they were over $3, you could short them, and under $3 you couldn't. There were different rules and regulations on it. So I'm like, let me trade these, and I got destroyed, absolutely destroyed for 8 solid months. And I'm not going to tell you how much I lost, but it was a lot. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong? And here's my savior comes in. Some guy in the chat room that I was with this group, I'm not going to name these groups, but I was just taking these like 1 minute candles, trying to catch momentum and run with it for 10,000 shares. And it was insane. Dumb. Everybody's got to learn. This is my learning experience. This guy in the chat room, I don't even know his real name, messaged me privately, and he said, listen, man, I think you're a sharp guy. I think you got a good grasp on these things. You look like you're putting the time and effort in. I think you're trading the wrong stuff. And I don't want any money. He was a full-time trader himself, gave me a couple of lists with his name blocked out. He was pulling $1,000, $1,500 a day professionally by himself. He said, I don't want a dime. I will give you about a month or so of my time to put you on the right path, and I'm done. That's what he wanted to do. I still don't know who the guy is.
That's
That was it for
crazy,
me.
dude. That's a
That
little,
was it for me. And
that's
that's
random.
why, yep. And that is one of the reasons I do what I do now, because it's paying it forward, and it's going to happen to somebody else. And hopefully I'll say one line to one person at one time, and some trader's going to change their life. And that is the goal. But this guy said, hey, we're going to get you some trading view charts. We're going to get you off of these penny stocks. I want you to trade futures. I didn't even know what they were at that time, but they spoke to me because of the way you can up long and short. In one contract, you double it. That's two. And then you get the price points, and 23 hours a day. Are you kidding me? I can trade 23 hours a day, not because I wanted to trade that long, but you know what? I'm tired this morning. I want to sleep in. I can't sleep at nighttime. Let me look at what Asia's doing. Let me look at what London's doing, and just pick the areas. And I was doing these opening range pieces. So just trying to find the momentum where it is and trying to find pieces. And the biggest thing is, he told me, is he said, stop trading the US Open, period, done. And I lived that ever since. And this is 6.5 years ago.
Wow.
Stop it. That was everything. That was the biggest thing for me, is that when I went to futures and stopped trading the US Open, uh, I was losing 85-90% of my trades. So I'm not going to win 80% of them, but I know I'm not going to lose them because I'm not doing what I was doing before.
Correct.
And that was the game changer for me. And I was like, okay, so I started trading just by myself, my computers, nobody around me, for, I don't know, almost 4 years, three and a half
Wow.
years, I guess. And then some traders started picking up on some things that I was posting. I didn't have a website. I don't have any YouTube channels. You know what I mean? I don't have a Twitter account, nothing like that. And I'm just sitting around, and people started messaging me, say, this is good. I like this. I saw this comment here, and somebody talked about, because when you're on TradingView and you make your own indicators, they go to a public library, and
Yep.
traders started seeing them. Now I have like 38,000 followers on TradingView. If I put something out, it's crazy, but I didn't get a dime. I didn't want a dime for anything. I'm like, this is great. Then I was asked to do automation. I'm like, okay, because I have the programming background. So about 3 years into it, I said, well, if I can do this, because my trading is all technical. I don't have any discretionary, for the most part, trading. So there's no guesswork. I'm like, one example that I use, Austin, is like, look at yesterday's closing price, right? The settlement price of yesterday, or a little while ago. That is the same for everybody. It doesn't matter what country, which software you're using, how old you are, nothing. It is exactly the same for everybody. So if you set a rule that says, look, go long over it and short under it, that's a rule. That is not discretionary. It's over it or it's under it. So that's the way that that's not what I trade, but that's an example of how I trade things. And I just started working into figuring out these little mathematical and little types of movements that I see. And I'm a low-key trader. I trade NQ, and my trades are between 7, 8 to 15 or so points. And to cap that section off, what I was doing was, you can see probably in the background here, is getting these movements of the market and then saying, well, if it goes to this level, I believe it's going to this level. So that means there's a range there. That range might be 1 or 2 points, not trade it. It might be 8 points, perfect for me. It might be 30 points. I'll give it a shot. But I track all of my trades. This is now a couple years ago, 3 years ago now. I tracked all my trades for a couple months. And one thing I noticed when I was teaching somebody what I do, how I do it, and it popped out on me, like it hit me like a ton of bricks, sun smacked me in the face. I noticed that if my calculated trades that I took were more than 15 points, I was losing 80% of them.
Really?
Yep. So I stopped. I don't
Right.
take anything over that. Same calculation, but if I look at my, yeah, there's only a point or two slippage is going to kill you on NQ. You kidding me?
Right.
If it's 7, 8, 10 points, I'm in. If it's 17, step aside. Because I know that
Interesting.
80% of the time I'm going to lose them. Next thing I know, doesn't mean you're going to win. It just means that I know that I'm losing 80% of do that. And like, I'm out. And that was my two biggest game changers right there, my friend.
Great information. So I have a lot of technical questions that we can get into for that. So first though, NQ, not at the open. So what time of day, and has it always been NQ?
Great question. It has always been NQ. It's still NQ, but I'm leaning on to YM a little bit more now because I want to size up some. And if you size up and you're wrong on NQ,
Smoke show.
you're down thousands in a second. You know, it's just the way it goes. So YM moves very similar to NQ. It's, $5 a point. It's a little bit smoother. NQ, $20 a point, a little more erratic, and you can get beat up pretty quickly.
And the
The
volume's a little
time,
lower in the Dow too. So the volatility is a little lower, I would assume.
Correct. Yep, correct. That's exactly right. So it's a little safer. And if anybody that wants to trade into NQ and get into futures trading, I would suggest starting there first. So my trade times are, like I said, never the first 30 minutes of US Open. Typically it's a couple hours before. I know I'm in Massachusetts, so it's East Coast, so it's not bad for me. 7:38 till 15 minutes before the open, and then nothing till 10 o'clock. And I don't have a set thing to say like, oh, it's noon, let me trade. I'm like, oh, is the market moving? Because we don't make or lose money if the market's ranging, right? So that's what I look at. Now, I told you that to tell you this. With Topstep for 2 years, Topstep TV, kind of gone by the wayside because I have such a workload during the day. It's really tough.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I do a lot of automation stuff too. So I let the bots run off to the side and I can just kind of glance over and manage them if I need to, turn one on, turn one off. And I'm not a type of trader that just looks for like, hey, I got to make 30 grand today. That's just not my makeup. Kudos to those that can do that. That's just not me. Because I know if I want to make 30, I'm willing to risk 30, even if you're doing a one-to-one on that. And I'm not willing to do that. So I am totally, comfortable between that, 800, 1200, and generally around 500 is if I start getting around there, and if it's 480 and I'm looking for 5, I'm just stopping. I'm not one of those guys that's going to be like,
I
right
noticed
into
that
it.
about you. I love that about you because you are not greedy. Nobody that watches Top Step TV and sees you trade would ever call you greedy in the way that you trade. Because I think greed is one of those emotions that tries to come and bite us in the ass as traders all the time. And it sounds, now that I'm getting to know your story, the previous experience you had, you've learned through life that greed is something you want to avoid. So I think that shines through in your trading. Now, you answered the question about the time, you answered the question about the Dow and the YM, which I'm sure everybody appreciates. Let's pick on, before we get into the automation, let's pick on the technicals and the systematic approach. Tell everybody, why are you not discretionary? I'm curious to know your thoughts on why did you choose to be more rules-based, systematic, and less discretionary, especially when you look at Michael, and I don't think Michael would disagree. He's extremely discretionary, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep, it's a different style, right? He's the momentum. Hey, the market's moving, volume's coming in, the DOM is flying, the tape is dropping like this. Looks like a long. Punch it in, take $1,000 or whatever it is, and then close out of it. I don't like that particular feeling that I get with it. So I can sum this up for you really quick because I get this question a lot. Like, why do you do that? Well, why don't you follow other discretionary trading and follow your heart and like, wow, the market's moving. I'm like, yeah, but it didn't hit what I wanted it to, so I'm not touching it.
Right.
So the answer is this, Austin. What is the biggest reason? Give me one word. What is the biggest reason traders fail? What is the biggest effect that happens to traders as to why they're not successful?
Oh, I can think of a few. I think of frustration,
Mhm.
greed,
Mhm.
fear,
Yep. Psychology, right?
psychology.
Yeah. So you take psychology. If the biggest reason traders struggle is due to the human emotion and the psychology behind it,
Take it out.
don't do it.
Right.
If you take that out of the picture, you just remove the biggest problem the most traders have.
Right.
Same thing with not trading the open.
It's a
If I
great
look on
answer.
my stats and I look at all the stats I'm privy to, and you go, whoa, if 85% of the traders are blowing up in the first half hour, why would I want to do that? Now, I'm not saying you can't, because there are awesome traders that are fabulous at trading that. Kudos to them. It just works for them. I'm not a long-term trader. My trades, if I'm going to trade a long time, it's 5 or 6 minutes. Some traders will put a trade on and come back and check it in 7 to 8 hours. Totally different. And this is why I love this thing we call day trading. Is everybody is different. Every trader is different. And that's the way I think of it. I'm like, man, if most of the traders are failing due to this particular reason, I'm simply not going to do that, because I want to give myself the best chance of success. And my biggest pet peeve on this thing is if a trader, if I'm helping a trader and they're in a nice trade and they're in profit and they have a goal of $500 or $600 for the day and they're looking at $1,100 P&L and then they close out at minus 200. I don't know why that happens. I know the reason. It's emotions and psychology, right? It's the greed factor.
Yep.
But I don't know why. It's a struggle for me to understand that, because I'm so mathematical. I'm so
You're so
we hit,
rules-based.
yeah,
So that's,
$500. I'm talking $500. That's 480. I'm just closing it. I'm done. Because so many
well,
times I've
that's
been
a
at
little
485 and
discretionary,
it's been down to
Robert.
200.
Listen,
I'm
that
sorry.
$20 wiggle room is a little discretionary. Okay.
Not if it's a rule. The rule is
Not-
within 10% of your goal.
Okay. Fair. Within,
Yep.
okay. I love this. So let's go into this. Someone's going to listen and say, Robert, my psychology is rock solid. It's my ability or inability to follow rules in a systematic strategy that is holding me back. I break my rules all the time. What do you say to that? What's up, boys? Before we get going with the rest of this episode, I've got to give a shout out to TradeZella. You guys know they've been a sponsor of the podcast before, but now they've actually opened up another discount code for you guys. So TradeZella is a trade tracking software that allows you to pinpoint the areas of your trading that are holding you back, your biggest weaknesses. But more than just thinking about the vagueness of like, man, I'm just taking too many trades, it actually will give you the specific data behind those mistakes so you know what to improve. And again, I could talk about this for an hour, but the new discount that they just opened up for everybody is a yearly discount of 20%, which is huge. They normally don't do sales at all. So now, if you use the link in the description, you can take 10% off your monthly membership using the code ASFX10, or take 20% off your yearly membership with the code ASFX20. Again, the codes and the link is down in the description. Make sure you check it out. If you're really taking your trading seriously, if you want to be a professional trader like myself and the guests that I have on this show, you've got to use TradeZella. It is a no-brainer. I love Umar. I love their team. This has nothing to do with that. Their software is incredible. It's hands down the most user-friendly, easy to access, easy to upload. Everything is super smooth. The only thing is you not wanting to confront your losses. This makes you do it. This makes you confront those weaknesses, and it helps you turn them into strengths. So check it out. Use the link in the codes down below. Now let's get back to the video.
Well, if you are breaking your rules all the time, then you need to remove the rules, because that is your problem. Okay.
Too many
So
rules.
I'm sorry.
Too many rules.
Yeah, possibly too many rules. So I want to back that whole thing out of it, and any type of training. This is going to really help your question here and the traders listening, because this is what happened to me. I was trading the wrong thing. That anonymous gentleman came in and I was getting destroyed for 8, 9, 10 and a half months, destroyed. And he goes, man, you're just trading the wrong stuff. It's not matching your personality. It's not matching your profile. It's not matching your character. And then he presented me with this, and it literally took me about 2 months, 2.5 months to actually transition and stop thinking stocks and start thinking futures. Now, do I know why something happened? No. Do I care? No. I don't need to know why it happened. I need to know that it happened. And to me, that just, it's very, very, fits me better. So in your example, if this trade is like, man, I cannot follow the rules, don't use them. Don't use them. You'll
Study
need
a discretionary trader instead of studying.
Yeah, you need to have some criteria behind it, because it's not just, you're not just, throwing them, hey, I'm gonna throw 15 contracts, 20 contracts and hope for the best. There's got to be a little bit of something going on there. But I've seen, that analysis paralysis, too many rules, too many indicators. And that's not that I'm against indicators, as long as they're helping you. Yeah. So if you have an indicator on your chart and you don't look at it right before you take the trade, pull it off the chart. You're not using it. Pull it off. Okay. We need things like that to get started. We all did. I use some right now and I make them. So the reason I use them is it's just a nice, easy visual. I'm like, oh, where was that again? Look over and you can see that little green dot. Great. That's already, I don't look at like, wait, where's my green dot? Where's my green dot? My fingers on the mouse, and it pops up and I hit it. that's an emotional aspect. It's emotional trading. So if
100%.
somebody is having trouble with those types of rules, I'm going to say look inside yourself first and look at the instrument, look at the time. We can trade 23 hours a day.
Yeah.
Why would we want to trade at the worst possible times?
It's a
If
great
we have an
point.
instrument that's really going against us and we're really having a hard time at it, look at a different instrument. There's tons of futures instruments out there, and my nemesis is gold. And I've said this on TopstepTV several times as well. If I've, over the last, let's say 3 or so years, if I have won a trade in gold, it has been only one trade in gold. I am
Yeah.
horrible at trading gold. Even
Yeah.
though I use a mathematical approach, my systematic thing just does not work. And I've worked with it. I'm like, how about this? What about that? I just cannot grasp it. So you know what that means? It's out of the pool.
Off the
No more.
watch list. Yep. Yep. Great answer. And I'm taking some notes here as we're talking, because I think these are really, really detailed points, which is going to be good. And I think the audience will really appreciate that. So the discretionary trader knows he's discretionary because he probably has tried systematic rules-based trading and didn't like it, and then vice versa. The systematic trader tried that, didn't like it, and went discretionary and tried to align with himself better or herself better. I love that.
Yep.
In
And everybody's
terms of auto,
different.
I'm sorry, good.
And everybody's different. So
And everybody's
that's the first thing I do is like, hey, I'm doing this. I don't care. What did you do tonight? What did you do last night after work? And outside, I don't care, like in a bad way, just like that. Let's get to you.
Yeah.
What do you do out of here? Because I'm a person, I'm not married, I have no kids, I'm 55 years old. Well, this person, whatever, male, female, has been married for 7 years. Maybe they're having trouble with it. Maybe their job is different. They're in between. They have 3 kids. One's got a health problem. That's a totally different person. I'm a mathematical, logical thinker. Maybe they came from an artist side or like a psychology side or what do you call it? A coaching side with it's a people person, right? Those are 2 different entirely people. So now if this trader's going like, well, how come you learn that? I saw this guy on YouTube do it. Yeah. That's them. That's them. Let's talk to you first. What did you do last night? Are you an exercise person?
Right.
What sparks you during the day? If you're sitting down in front of your chart and you're like, oh, okay, what am I going to lose today? That's the wrong thing.
Damn
Everybody
right.
loses, but you're fighting it. You're
Yeah.
fighting it. Just who are you first? That's the very dang first thing you got to do.
Yeah.
Because my makeup, my chemistry, my character, my personality, I'm an Aries, if you want to go that route. I'm an Irishman, like I'm from New England. Dude, I'm aggressive. I'm going to get in, I'm going to get out. I don't care if it works or doesn't. My successes are like, awesome, won the trade. What's the next one? Or I go, dang it, lost it. What's the next one? I do have those highs and lows. I do have emotions to it. I'm not a robot, but they last 9 seconds. That's it. That's all done. I just don't carry them. Let me throw this in with this same topic that traders will ask me what my how do I handle winning streaks or losing streaks, right? You don't want to get the big head if you're on a nice winning streak, and you don't want to get down in the dumps and try to dig out if you're in a losing streak. It's a personal thing to me, but I don't have any streaks. My winning streak or losing streak is a factor of 1. I do not let one trade impact the other. Sometimes you do, but that is the biggest thing for me. It's like, hey, that trade didn't work. All right, it's in the past, gone, history. It's a losing trade. It happens. What's the next one? What's coming down the pike? I'm like, dang it. Especially if I do 2 or 3 in a row, I'm kind of like, I might, you see it, but I don't be like, wow, I'm a 3 trade losing streak. What am I doing wrong? I just be like, wait, I take a step back. I'm like, what? All right, so this is what I'm looking at. It's like, oh, geez, I didn't even see it. Was trading around point of control. Didn't even see that. Was scrolled off the screen.
And
my bad. Sit back, wait, put an alert on the chart, pops up. Great. Now I'm back in the trade.
it's very refreshing to hear you say that, because I think a lot of the guys listening could be at the point where they are trying to fit themselves into someone else's trading strategy and they haven't done enough self-pursuit. And I would just add, in your coaching, I'm sure you're going to say you do the same thing. When I have people sit down with me, we talk all the time about their bedtime, their sleep, their eating habits, their personal relationships outside of trading. Because as a person that is active in markets, you'll learn once you find a strategy and a way of approach that suits you, those external factors become extremely important on your overall performance. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree 150%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It really comes down to, because trading is not indicators. Trading is not charts. Trading is nothing but human emotion on a graph, on green and red candles. That's all it is, right? I always use this analogy. It says, let's take Apple, and the Apple stock is at a certain price level. They had a scandal in the company. They had bad earnings report. They had to do a breakup of something. It's a political nightmare going on right now. All of this crap, the last product they had didn't do so well. If nobody sold a share, it's not going to go down.
Nope.
It's not going to happen. So it's a human emotion, like, oh my God. And then what happens is you'll get a few that'll sell it and it'll drop the price down. And then someone will say, oh, I better get out. I don't want this to drop, which pushes it further and faster. And then people, this thing is going to dive, and they pull their money out and it goes further and faster. Exactly. But if everybody went, it doesn't move. So you're just looking at human emotion on green and red candles or whatever colors you're using. So that's my biggest thing. Just like you, it all comes down to you. You have that conversation. First conversation, sometimes second and third conversations, we don't look at a chart. Talk to me. Tell me about it. My biggest thing is like, why trading? You realize that when trading, you are embarking on a journey that 95+% of the population, or that traders that try to trade, fail.
Yep.
You are so far behind the 8 ball. One of my clients was a neurosurgeon. He goes, after starting trading and doing this for a while, I wanted to go back to medical school because it was so much dang easier.
Right.
I'm like, you're a neurosurgeon.
Why do you think that is, though,
hard.
Robert? Do you think it's because, is trading a self-discovery pursuit in your mind? Do you see more of yourself as you pursue becoming a better trader? And some people just don't want to confront themselves like that and overcome. People don't like to overcome their insecurities and their inefficiencies, if you would call it inefficiencies.
Yep, 150%. Again, trading will bring out your best and it will bring out your worst. It will totally make you re-examine who you are as a person. And I was a stubborn ass for 8, 9, 10 months, and it cost me. That was my education. And if I didn't have that gentleman point me in that direction, I probably still would have been fighting at it, because I was so stuck and I was so focused that I got to do this. I have to trade this way. This guy's doing it great. I saw this YouTube guy. This guy's tweeting. And I was just so locked in, and that's what I do. I get locked in and focused. And it's like anything I try, it's not like big hat. When I try for set out something, Austin, I usually will finish it and excel at it. Okay. And I can give you a couple of those examples later, but I just don't quit. I hate that. And I was down that really, really bad path. You know what that's called? It's called an ego. Right. And it took this guy said something, and then it took me like getting off of myself and just being like, stepping back and being like, all right, well, I'm not doing well. It's costing me dearly. Let me at least look at it. And I didn't even know what futures were. He's like, haven't heard of futures? I have no idea what you're talking about. And he told me about it, but then he dumbed it down for me. You know how futures are just basically price points, like for the future, like it started off with like grains and corns where you have different seasonalities. It's like, well, I'm going to buy it now, but we're not growing corn till later. It looks like it's going to be an El Nino year. So price is going to be higher. So I'm going to pay a cheap price now based on the future prices. That is what futures contracts are. And that's where it all started. Gold, silver, oil, all those types of things. And then the equities, of course, that most of us trade now. When he got me into that, he's like, so? I'm like, well, what about? He's like, so? I was like, but how about the, he's like, so? He's like, did it go over that candle? I was like, no. He's like, then why trade? It literally was that, I don't want to say easy, but simple, basic. Yeah. And that was what put me on my path. I've stripped everything out of my charts. I was just like, what am I looking at here? And I've expanded on that there, and I'll share a few things for your listeners too, a couple of tips in there that help me out. Maybe it'll help them out. That's how it all started, and that's how it's all into you. Back to your point, it is a self-discovery journey, and you have to open up. You have to let go. You have to accept the losses. You have to accept that 95% who trade this are not successful, and don't worry about them.
So wait, Robert, you're saying if I start trading now, I won't have a Lambo and a Rolex in a month?
Not unless you steal it.
No one said that before. That's good. Let's talk before we get into the tips, because I do want to circle back to that. I do want to go back to one other point you mentioned about the automation, because I think that would be really interesting for some of my guys to hear. What got you into automation? Was it because you were busy with Topstep, or is it just your background with your IT job? You were like, I can code something to make this run and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's a good question. It had nothing to do with Topstep because it was 3 years before I even jumped onto Topstep.
Okay.
And the automation was a request from one of the traders. I started with TradingView, which is no automation in there for futures. That you can do stuff with crypto, but the automation in there. There's a strategy. I'm looking at a strategy tester in there. You can put stuff in, and it's PineScript, which is a version of Python. It's pretty simple. A lot of traders can do it. A lot of the stuff is open source. Yeah. And it will just stamp a long buy, sell on the chart. So you go, oh, look, there's a buy. And then you just go over to your platform and you can buy it manually. So I started a couple of these things. And because I was coding these indicators, you're a premium member. When you publish something, all of TradingView knows. And some people were messaging me in TradingView and saying, hey, that's really cool, but I can't trade like this time or whatever. Can you automate that? Like, well, there's no automation there. And they were using NinjaTrader. I'm like, well, let me take a look at that. NinjaTrader is NinjaScript, which is a version of C#. So I had to learn a programming language to help do it. I started doing that. And when I talk automation, I don't mean it. I want to be super clear with this, is automation is not, hear me, it is not the longer you let it run, the more money you make. That is not automation. If you're using automation because, let's just say something simple, you're going to moving average crossover and you're going to hold on to that for 3 hours. Do you need to automate that? Nothing happened. I use the automation for in and out. Okay. If I want to get this break, you ever see in trades, we'll see NQ, it'll be bouncing, 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 and then you get this wick up before it goes the other way. That's my money.
Yeah.
That wick up, I didn't have a chance to grab my mouse or hit my keyboard to get into that trade. The bot entered it, exited it, $200.
So it removes
that
the
is what I look
lag
at
of
it
the
automation.
human. You're removing the human. You're really like this is like almost AI, right? Like do the hardest work for me while I still set the rest of it up, so to speak.
Yeah, for the most part, it's not AI because AI is a relearning tool, but
Sure.
it is automated. It's more like, it's not even machine learning. It's literally just automation. So when somebody hears an algorithmic or an auto or a bot, they're very similar. Algorithmic trading is nothing but a set rules of processes. So when someone says, hey, I have an algo, it's just a mathematical equation. If this happens and that happens, then this, do the other.
Right.
That is, you just made an algo. And it could literally be, hey, we use all the time, a trailing stop is an algo. A bracket order is an algo. Enter here and I want to take my profit at 20 points and loss at 20 points.
Right.
Just made an algo because they're going to automatically do it.
If this happens, then I do this, or then it does.
Exactly. And then you can program your own stuff in there. Like somebody may say, boy, I really like that moving average crossover, but I don't want to do that unless it's between 10 and noon, unless it's above the high of day, unless volume is 40% higher than it was the last hour. So you can put all those things in and just sit back and look at it and go, oh, okay, it took it. It didn't take it. And you can manage it from there. So none of these things, and I'll say it again, automated trading and bot stuff, it is not, the longer you let it run, the more money you make. That is not the case in these things. And if it were, everybody would be multimillionaires. And I'll tell you what, man, my ego on that stuff is completely gone because I thought I was smart doing this. And you learn real quick that the pros that are on the higher end, the hedge funds and the Wall Street and stuff, they have multiple PhDs in computer science and economics and AI stuff and machine. They have all these. Who the hell am I that thinks I can outdo that?
For sure.
So I just looked at it and I said, hey, let me give an example. What if the market, let's say ES, and it moves pretty much 50 points in a day, right? Let's just say that. Boom.
Yeah.
50 points up and down, top to bottom. Yeah. And it has gone up most of the day and it's now at around 50 points. I can code something that says, hey, when this thing moves 50 points, load a short and then give me X amount for a loss and take it out at this profit and then let it go. Yeah. It may take one trade, it may not take it. What if it only moved 30 points? You don't have a trade that day, right? So that's where the automation side comes in. And again, this is all pre-Topstep. And to get into Topstep, they actually found me. I was posting in their group. So if someone wants to look it up, put my name in the Topstep community and circle back about 5 years, you'll see me posting comments in there. And they said, hey, I get a call from one of the guys that was there. One of the he's not there now, but super nice guy. And he said, hey, you wanna join us? We see you posting a whole bunch of stuff in there. I was like, I don't know. I think I'm good. A couple months later, he said, you sure? We got a couple things going on. I was like, all right, I'll listen. Now, back at the beginning, I remember I never had a job. I'm like, since 1992, I didn't work for anybody. I'm like, do I want to do this? And I finally did. And that was February 2022.
The rest is history. Can we touch on I think you're very well-versed. You are experienced enough in IT to speak on this more than some of my other guests. So I want to ask you, what is the future of AI and day trading? Should we be worried? Should I be worried? Should I be coding an AI thing, or am I going to be safe, Robert? That's what I'm asking you.
Well, if I knew the real answer to that, I'd be doing the same thing. So let's lay a couple of things there. And it's a great question. I get that a lot now with all the new AI stuff because I do run them. I have a licensing for ChatGPT and the back end stuff, and I do integrations with other things. And I'm actually working on they called it custom GPT. You used to have to pay for them, but next month or this month, it's June now. Yeah. OpenAI is saying, no, you don't have to pay anymore. So I'm working on one with Topstep where we're able to upload trade reports and say, I have this thought, this is what I want to do. What do you think? And it will do a comparison and just look around.
Love that.
Isn't that great? And it will give you suggestions. And I've been doing a lot of stuff on it. It's pretty cool.
That's
so
awesome.
to answer your question, Austin, Do we have to worry? Did we have to worry in 1910? Did we have to worry in 1922 with the market? Did we worry in the 40s when the war was going on? Did we worry in the 80s with the housing crunch? Do we have to worry about AI? I would say probably not, because when you have one AI and then you have another AI, they're going to start outdoing things. And we had high frequency trading. There's some of it there now, but the high frequency stuff, there's limits that you can do for those things now. It's like you don't have so many trades and slippage is there, and the Wall Street isn't there anymore. So it's kind of a little gone by the wayside, and everything it's still electronic, but we don't have this like buy and sell a penny at a time 200,000 times a day, and I'm gonna walk at the end of the day with $5,000. They don't do that anymore for the most part. It's there.
Yeah.
AI is a little different animal, and here's where I think it's going to be hugely beneficial, and it's going to make the most impact. We can have algorithmic trading, mathematical equations. We can code bots and do all this programming stuff, right? And do all again the autos, but it's still math. And I think AI is going to take the human element that we're trying to pull out and incorporate that into the trading. Reason being, we can look and say, okay, oil, yep, it dropped off a bit. We have CL, right? Crude oil, it dropped off a bit. Well, the AI, I don't want to say knew, but had a hunch because it was monitoring the news over the last week, and you and I can only monitor so much news. That can monitor all kinds of news. It will give different weights to different things. And then it learns. And it says, wait a minute, the last 7 times that this event happened didn't mean anything. The event happened again, I'm disqualifying it, right? Does it mean it's going to always work? Hell no.
So it's almost like AI makes us smarter. That's how it's going to make us more knowledgeable about what's going on and potentially moving markets to put us in a position to make a better decision with our trades.
I believe that to be true. I believe that to be the case. And it can do it so much faster. Now, it's not going to be right all the time, of course, but it can do it so much faster. Okay. So example, I want to know right now in the next 15 minutes, I want to know every time the market, the ES made an all-time high within the last 3 months of the last all-time high for the last 20 years. Austin, you got 15 minutes, you can get that for me? Probably not. I could type a line of code in the AI and it'll print out in about 12 seconds.
Right.
Okay. So what does that mean? Does it mean I'm going to win? No, but it's a dang good piece of information. There are some that are used like, what happens if I go look at ES again, just as an example, and we have 3 green days in a row. Okay. Well, I want to look back the last X amount of time, and I want to say, how many times did we have 3 green days in a row? 9. And we had 4 green days in a row twice. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to short. You're only going to be wrong very, very small amount.
So it provides you that new information, that quicker, better information. Yeah, I like that answer. I think that's what, especially at least in our lifetime, right? Maybe my kids, it's a little different and flying cars take over like the Jetsons. But look, they thought that for our parents and that didn't happen for us. So we'll hold our breath on those flying cars and the robots everywhere, But if Elon goes his way, Elon's going to have us all have robots. So then maybe I could program my robot to do the trading for me.
It's very possible, and that's what we do, and that's the automation, right?
Yes.
So exactly. To clarify that the human side of things, what I mean is we are all pretty much technical traders. So you can ask that question yourself. Hey, oil just dropped down a little bit. Well, we're going to look at that as traders, nearly all of us, and say, well, it bounced off the high. It bounced off this average. It has gone up 3 days, so we want to short it. AI isn't going to do that, and it's not doing it now. It's going to say, you know why? Because a year and a half ago was a meeting at the summit over in Dubai, and they were talking about blah, blah, blah. And that time is now. We don't know that. It is really, really hard for us humans to grasp that.
Right.
But the AIs can do it in a second.
Right.
So that's what I mean when I say I believe it's going to bring that human side into it. And I don't mean discretionary trading like I stay away from. I just mean the human side of like, yeah, that's probably why. We're looking at it as now it made a new high of day. It made a new intraday high 6 times. And every time it does that, it drops. Maybe, but the AI is going to be like, you know what? But why did it drop? I want to know the why. I want to know what caused it, because it's not going to do it automatically. Somebody somewhere had to sell. Why did they do that? And they'll go through history. They'll put a plan together, and it'll take seconds. So I think that's where everything is going with it. And it's going to learn as it goes.
I think you're going to be right. I think we'll look back on this. I think you're spot on. It's a great answer. And it's similar to what I was thinking too. So I think that we're aligned on that. I want to go to what you mentioned, And I think what you've done a really good job today, Robert, is like your rants are very succinct and very detailed, but they're also very easy to understand. I think that's why you're a great coach, because like, and I would hope that even my audience feels like this is almost like a coaching session. One of the things that I try to pride myself on is, look, I'm going to be a little egotistical like anybody. I'm not going to deny that. I'm going to be a little arrogant sometimes. I'm not going to deny that, but I will make sure to admit when I'm wrong. And I will make sure to always be coachable, because I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. And I think you would say one of the qualities that you've seen in your successful traders, the guys you've worked with, is they're always coachable. They're always curious. They're always learning. So let's talk about some of the other tips or key characteristics, the standout stuff that you could speak for the last few minutes here to the audience about. Like, hey, if you're struggling, align over here, align with this. What comes to mind when you, because I know you get that question all the time. What's your biggest tips for new traders? But let's get more detailed than that. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. So the biggest tip is to take a step back, scale down, slow down, and then look into yourself. And I don't, if somebody wants to do it on the meditation side of things, that's totally fine. What I mean is looking is like, who are you? Why are you even doing this? Okay. I've had some accomplishments in my life that were freaking hard to do, but that's my makeup. Maybe somebody is a little bit different than that. So look in you, trade something that fits your personality and your character, slow down, stand down, scale down, and just look around and absorb it in. Most of the traders, like 85+%, are trading NQ. That NQ is not the right contract or instrument for 85% of the people who are trading right now. It is not. Absolutely not.
It's true.
So when you can identify something that's a little better, like, why is this doing? What are the struggles I'm having? That is the step number one from doing all of those things, right? There's no shortcuts. It's screen time, screen time, screen time. Understand that you do not know it all. I thought I did for a long time. Nope. It took me a little time to like, nope, I'm with you. I'm an aggressive person. I'm a type A dude. I'm a secondary black belt. I'm an Eagle Scout. I was a military. I'm like, you name it. I went after, I'm a former bodybuilder. When I go at something, I just go and go and go. Trading beat me. It absolutely beat me. And it took me that time to look inside and be like, what the hell am I doing? And I started plotting just from my analysis side, like, what am I doing? So those things come in. It's like, man, I'm losing trades when I'm doing this. Well, just don't do that anymore. I'm trading this product and I'm getting hammered. Well, don't trade that anymore. Simplify it, break it down. And on my coaching side of stuff, personally in a Topstep, it's like, I use Occam's razor. It's usually the simplest answer is the correct one. Yeah, not always, but usually it is, right? So I use that all the time. Traders are always in a hurry. They see the things online and they'll read like, oh, this looks pretty easy. I thought it was super easy too. You know why? Because the first trades I ever placed, I won and they were fantastic. You know what that did? It screwed me for a year.
Yeah, bro, it's the worst.
Right? So it's identifying yourself, finding out who you are. And the biggest reason is like, why the hell are you doing this? It is so hard. If you ask any professional why they're doing that, they have a rock solid answer. They'll answer you in half a second. So if I ask you and say, so why are you trading? And you go, well, it's kind of, you're done. That's it. History. You have to have that answer. What's driving you? What's making you? And stop the expectations. You can expect to lose. You can expect to win. That's just how it goes. And I'm going to say this because I know some of you traders are like this. Because all of us were like this at one point. I traded the open all the time. I always take, fictitious now, I say, I'm going to limit myself to 3 trades a day. I'm going to trade this strat when it does this. I'm only going to trade between 1 and 3 o'clock, whatever the days are. And I'm only risking this. Okay, great. Hold on a second there. So if we back that up to the human level, you are expecting the market to do what you want it to do, when you want it to do that, to fit your style of trading in the time that you want to trade within the 3 trades you're going to take. That is ridiculous.
You're right.
We have to get out of our head and do this. I don't mean to offend anybody here, but stop. Take a step back. If you're playing if you can only trade a certain amount of time, I get it. Jobs, family, I totally understand. But that's a time, like, duration thing that you got to work with. Great. Let's identify that. Let's say that's the one thing you can't change. I can only trade between these 2 hours. Awesome. Well, now you can't limit that to 3 trades. Why? Market doesn't move that far to make your money. Or you can't limit to 3 trades with this much risk because you need twice that to even get in a position. So you have to break everything down, simplify it, get your expectations in line, figure out who you are and why the heck are you doing this in the first place. Taking it slow, scaling down, looking around, doing all your studies. I don't want anybody to listen to me or to you or to anybody, top step coaches, none of us, or all, I should say, not one person, but all of us, and then pick what works for you. I can listen to one trader, and there's some awesome coaches at TopStep. Absolutely. Styles are different. I can't trade like this particular coach.
Right.
Awesome guy, knows his stuff, loves it. Not my style. This
Right.
person over here, maybe a little rough around the edges, but I dig what they're doing. So you got to do, this is a one-person game, right? This is a one-person thing. It's, and I'll finish it with this here, is this is a sport, if you want to call it a game or playing it, that it's you against the opponent, right? Just like any sport, basketball, baseball, but whatever. It's you against the opponent. You know who the opponent is? You. Absolutely. You against you. The market is the mediator, and it doesn't care who wins. You win or you win, it does not care.
Dude,
so you got to figure out how you can win against yourself. And for me, it was removing all the emotion out of it, putting a couple pieces together and saying, if it does that, does this, I'm going to go for it. Do I win a lot of them? My win rate's high. I don't want to get all that. My win rate's high, but it has to be because my losses are a little bigger than my wins. And I'll fully disclose that.
Yep.
It's only because it's when I make a trade and I'm looking for a certain amount,
Yeah.
I need to leave a little more room for the wiggleness of way
I'm very
moves.
similar. I totally
And
understand.
every once in a while, it'll tap me. I'm like, ah, dang it. So now I have to win the next 3 trades in order to get that back. So it's got to be, I'm around 85%, but if it's under 70, I'm losing. So it has to be able to say, my God, your win rate. Like, no. Don't follow me. No, don't do that. Don't follow me. If it works for you, great. But it doesn't. I have a trader that they use MACDs. They use 2 MACDs. That's all they trade on. They're set a little bit different, and they kill it. They absolutely destroy it. I cannot trade a MACD to save my life. Oscillators, I have no thing. It works for them. It took them like 2 years to figure this out, and now they just work. They come in, they see what they're set up, and they go and they're all set.
I mean, look at Zach Anthony.
It's you against you.
You know Zach, and that was so well said, Robert. Very good answer. A lot of good tips in that. You know Zach from TopstepTV. Zach is one of the guys I've been working with. Zach has like a 20% win rate, but he gets payouts. The guy knows how to manage his losses and make those wins count. Win rate is not a reflection of your overall profitability. It's a reflection of the way that you trade, and you want to play to that win rate. I'm like you. If I had a 20% win rate, I would break a lot of keyboards. So I have to have a higher win rate, which means I'm going to have to, manage those trades appropriately to make sure I am winning. Does that mean I leave a lot of money on the table when I trail my stop and get tapped out? Absolutely. But I've now come to that. Yeah, and we could write a book about that. 2 books probably. I've come to the acceptance, as I've traded for about 9 years now. You're going to always leave money on the table, bro. And like you said, that goes back to expectations. Why did I expect to catch all of every move? I should have never even expected that to begin with. And as you have more experience trading, and this is good advice to our listeners, the more experience you get to look back on yourself and say, man, I had so many things wrong with my mindset, but look at how I've overcome them. And I'm sure you'll agree with me here. When you look back and you see what you've overcome, it is motivating for your future. And I think that's the best part of it. You have to be committed to that 1% better every day, committed to, like you said, when you know, why are you trading? You know that answer like the back of your hand. If you're here half-assing it, you're going to get half-ass results. It's that simple.
John Ho, that's great, Austin. Thanks for sharing that as well. John Hogan says, he has a great quote. I use it all the time. I think for it every day. He says, just when you have the answer, the market changes the question on you. That's for him. And that is the way it is. It's got to be lifelong learning. And if I may, can I address 2 things that you said there?
Absolutely.
Okay. One of them was leaving money on the table. Okay. I hate that phrase. We're talking about, not that you said it, but I hate when traders use it. It's like, man, I closed my trade and it went to, I do not care. It's like, you made $200. Who cares if it went 3,000? That is your trade. I'm going to enter here. I'm exiting here. I took my winnings. Anybody can do that hindsight stuff, right?
Anybody.
Please forget that. That's a greed mentality. It's like, oh, I left it. No, you didn't. You took 200 off.
Oh, Robert, you're speaking today. So you know what one of the guys in the group chat said today? He said, oh, I wish I would have held that trade from overnight because it would have been a big winner. And I'm like, you're only saying that because it would have been a big winner. If it would have gone down, you would have been like, man, good thing I closed it.
Exactly. That's exactly how it goes. Like, and if you close, you're like, whew, good thing I got that. You can see the thing behind me. That's today. That's today. See that little green? What's that? That green down there?
Yeah.
That's where it started. And then the market went up go this way. The market went up the entire day. You know what I traded? See those couple of gray things? There's my trade.
There's your ranges.
Yep. Here's my trade. Okay. Yep. I'm getting these peaks. I'm like, I'm going to target that. So I'm full disclosure. I didn't do this because I didn't trade this today. I was on the air the whole time, but this is my Indy. That's what I made. And those would be those trades. I'm not talking hindsight, just that's just what it would be. You know what I didn't do? I didn't get that whole dang line.
Of course.
And I don't care because my trade is like, I'm going to go from here to here. I win it or lose it. That's it. So leaving money on the table drives me nuts. And the second one that drives me nuts is catching a falling knife. And I want to explain this to listeners too. I know, you just smirked. I know exactly what you're talking, exactly what I'm going to say.
Well, because we both tried to catch a lot of knives in our day.
We did catch a lot of knives in our day. Did not, tried to, and we did. So
they just cut us open, right?
Yeah, exactly. Cut us open and several times. Catching a falling knife or trend trading, right? You don't know it's a trend until it is a trend. You don't know it's a falling knife until it is a falling knife. Let me give this example. Market's going up. It comes down a little bit. There's a little bit of a pullback. So you go long. No, it went down a little bit further. Stopped out. You wait for it. Starts hovering around. Oh, look, it's bouncing off to the point of control. Broke through it. Nope. Stopped out. Lost some money. It's coming a little close. Oh, it's almost at that 200 moving average. Enter along again because it's going to retreat. Nope. Stopped out again. It's close to VWAP. Going to be a VWAP bounce. Nope. Stopped out again. And then you look back and go, dang it, I caught a falling knife. No, you didn't. You made 4 losing trades. The falling knife showed up after you were done. So I want to be really clear on that. It's get rid of the cliches on those things. You're not catching falling knives you don't know. You don't know it's a trend until it is one. Look back at it. The trend that happened today, what did it do? It just went up to the initial balance. Oh, then it broke out of this. Well, then it hit yesterday's high. Well, then it broke over this level. And then it got the closing price. And then you look back and go, wow, this thing trended all day. It's like, no, it didn't. It did in hindsight, but not when you were there doing it. So I want to just be clear on those. That's on the side of the setting expectations on the coaching, and hopefully some of those tips will help out some traders. Forget all that stuff. Forget all the whys on these things. It's like, man, what happened? Oh, who cares? It went 10 points. You took your money. So what? Take another trade. We are traders. We're day traders. And welcome to the second hardest job in the world. I hear motherhood is the hardest one, and I will give all the kudos in the world to the moms out there.
I would agree with you. My son took a nice dump down his leg into his foot, and my wife had to clean that up today at the airport as they were flying back. That is much harder than what we do. I would not want to do that. So you're right. Damn right. Robert, this has been fantastic. So I want to do this because you and I clearly could talk for another hour. And I think the audience would really like it. I think this episode is going to be very well received. I said that to you before, but now even after you just dropped a couple of bombs on us, it's confirmed.
Thank you.
I'd like to do this though, because I think we didn't go into a lot of Topstep stuff, which is cool. Now people get a little bit more of you, which is what I wanted to do. Users, listeners, wherever you're watching or listening, go to YouTube for me. You can always email me or Robert. You can DM us, whatever. But I prefer if you go to YouTube, please, on this video. It's on the Day Trading Show. It's on my channel. Comment below the questions you want me to ask Robert next time. I want to hear from you guys. Do you want to do part 2 with more psychology, more of the mindset and the trading, or do we want to get into some Topstep stuff? And maybe Robert will share some goodies with us then. That time we'll have more to release. So let me know in the comments, everybody. I really want to make sure we tailor this to you guys. And I really appreciate it. I think our last video was over 150 comments on the first day with Nick. So I think like the interaction here is going to continue to build. So I want you guys to tell me what you want to talk to Robert about next time, and I'll make sure we get that done. But for today, Robert, thank you again, man. This has not only been fantastic. I have to thank you for rescheduling with me a couple of times with schedules and stuff. And I'm so happy that we got to get this done. The clips from this are going to be fantastic. Where can people connect with you best? I know TopstepTV, you're a regular there and you're always in the background, but where can we send them? Is there anywhere else we want to push them?
Yeah, I do have my own little thing off to the side, and I just want to stay shy of like any type of promotions or anything like that. And that's a personal thing for me. I don't do any ads. I do no marketing. If somebody finds me and wants some help, I'll be happy to help them out. You got my name there and you got Google. I'll leave it up to the traders to do that.
I love that. For now, then, everybody, we're signing off. Robert, enjoy the rest of your evening, brother. I appreciate you. I will see you probably this week on TopstepTV. And for our listeners, make sure you're subscribed to the Day Trading Show here, wherever you're listening or watching. We're bringing you new episodes at least twice every, I should say not twice a week, every 5 days or so. We're trying our best here on the back end. But we appreciate you all, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Robert.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.